Hello everyone and welcome to round 11 of Race Spec Global Tier 1 for the Belgium Grand Prix. We've already got a driver off actually. Is that Banana? I think it's Banana. I can't quite see. Yep, just there on the right. Okay, well that's one way to start a stream. Hey guys and welcome to the Global Series, the new Global Series for round 11, technically round 2. I should probably change the name of that title actually to suit, but we'll worry about that later. We're here for Belgium, one of in my opinion, the best circuits in the world. I know a lot of drivers love this place, as you've also already got a second person off, I think. Yes, we do. Kurt Boy's gone. So within the space of about a minute, we've already lost 2 drivers. That's one way to start a stream. But yes, anyway. Oh, what a disgruntled start. Oh well, we're here for qualifying. Looks nice and dry, but I have got a report that we will have a wet start to the race, which makes things very interesting indeed. So it's going to be a challenge for these drivers. Belgium, as you've already seen from our 2 DNFs in qualifying, is a difficult circuit to nail. A couple of really tricky spots on the track, particularly up there through Eau Rouge and Radillon. Probably the most common incident occurring place you're going to find on the circuit, but there are plenty of other challenging corners around, plenty of dangerous curbs, and the fact that the track is so high speed means the drivers will have to push incredibly hard. So yeah, it's going to be a real challenge for these guys to put some laps together. We've already got a 3rd incident as well. I wonder where that's happened. I don't think that's on track. Stingray has DNF in the session as well. So I'm not sure what's going on here. This has been a weird start. But yeah. Anyway, we were on board with Patuka here, on board for the full lap just to get our way around the circuit. It's been a quick, pretty tidy lap so far, hitting the apexes, not really making any mistakes yet. Coming through the second sector split now is Purple, one of the first guys who will set a lap time. Patuka, a really quick driver in this tier, probably will be contending for race wins week in, week out, all these podiums. Let's try to set this time of 43.2, so not a bad time to start off with. Patuka's got a little bit of traffic here in the final couple of corners, but should get out of the way nicely, and they do, which is good. So Patuka will put it up to the line. What can he put on the table as a banker? It's a 41.8, so that's a really quick banker time there actually from Patuka, so on the money early, which is what you'd expect from a class driver like himself. So Kevin Texas maybe coming through in the Renault as well. We've got plenty of guys on track at the moment, so we'll see. We'll keep an eye on our leaderboards as we go. Banana Cake Pie, traditional introduction into the chat. Of course, he's got plenty of time to now that he's out of the session. So him, Kevin and Stingray will be right in the back for the start of this race, which is not necessarily the place you want to be. Although on the flip side, it will keep you out of the carnage. So. But definitely not the way you want to start the race, particularly if it is wet, as we have heard reports of. So yeah, ideally you'd still want to be further up the grid, I think, though. Speaking of up the grid, Curving Texans puts himself into P3. Ned hugged my dog into P2. That's a new name for me. I don't have a dog, so I guess Ned didn't hug my dog, but I suppose he might hug other people's dogs instead, but we'll have to ask him about that, I think. But Ned likes hugging dogs, it seems. He's up in the P2 currently in the Mercedes, so we'll have to see what he can do during the race. So Christoph Rex coming through the final couple of corners now. Actually, he did tell me to not look at him during qualifying so he doesn't bottle this lap, but I think through here he's finished enough of it that it's okay to keep an eye on him. He'll come across the line P8, 43.6, so not a bad time to start with. You should see these guys get a bit more time into their laps as they continue through the session. Shin Matata in the McLaren, always been there or thereabouts in the points, so let's see what he can do here at Spa as he's coming through fast chicane in the middle sector. Very easy to get yourself hooked on the curbs or run wide and invalidate your lap, so got to be careful there. Additionally, down here you want to really open up this corner, but again you can't run wide at risk of invalidation. Shin Matata takes that pretty nicely now through pretty much the quickest section of the track, around the 2 left-handers through the Blanchimont now, easy flat with these cars. The downforce on these is incredible. So Taking them quite nicely there, trying to hit the lines. Oh, a little bit deep in the bus stop. They'll lose probably a couple of tenths there. That will compromise your line onto the straight. So not fantastic necessarily, but it's a bank lap, so you've still got plenty more time to improve. He will put himself into P8 temporarily. We'll jump on board with Lunacy, who's the only guy on mediums for now. He's actually invalidated, so we might move off him. We've got a couple of guys on outlaps. Gold Gloves, he's in the third sector. I wonder if anyone else is really on laps. A couple of yellows around the track. It was King Kieski coming across the line in P4 in the McLaren. It's like a couple of guys on cooldown laps. Being such a long track, drivers are going to have to be aware of the clock in qualifying. You have to account for almost 2 minutes worth of outlap and in-lap to get your run in, so probably only 3 runs for these guys maximum. They'll have a spare set of tyres for the race, although if it is wet then it may not necessarily matter so much. But Ned is just a Bella. Okay, so that's good to know. A Bella danger. Ned hugs my dog, so I guess a Bella likes hugging dogs. That's good to know there. Thanks for that. In the chat, yes, I do remember that story now, so that's fine. We'll just say Ned, I think. Yes, we'll stick with that. We'll jump on board. Who's on the lap? I think Caddy might be on a lap. Looks like he is. He's pushing in that AlphaTauri. I say it pretty much every time. Best looking livery on the grid. Changed my mind. He's coming through the couple of corners here. This is the apex slightly. You can't run wide there. As inviting as that outside curve is, you can't afford to run wide, or the game will slate with invalidation. Through Puon, which is probably the second most hazardous corner on the track other than O'Ridge Radion complex. You don't want to touch that inside curb. That's going to send you around straight away. And you also can't afford to run wide or it will invalidate your lap. So really hazardous through there. Drivers are going to have to try and get as close as they can without really running too far over it. He's on the curb there and he's into the fence is Cardi, so not great there for qualifying. He's going to have a bit of damage on the front wing, I think. He's going to have to come in and repair it. Looks like Gold Gloves just coming past as well. He's also on a lap, so we'll stick with Gold Gloves. Actually, he's invalidated, so not ideal there on his first run. Yeah, you'd rather not have invalidated, of course. So we'll have to see. Yeah, he'll just come into the pits, won't bother doing another lap. As he's into the pit wall in the entry there. It is quite a difficult little pit lane. As embarrassing a crash as it is, it is incredibly tight to get into that pit lane, so let's hope the drivers are aware enough to not smack into that wall during the race, because that'd be quite costly with the front wing change. Looks like a couple of guys are coming through now to start their laps. Like Ned. Yep, looks like Ned is starting a lap now in that black Mercedes. Quick driver in this tier, so we should see him towards the points, if not a bit further up. He's going to have an AlphaTauri come out right in front of him. NJ, he's going to probably get out of the way. Yep, so well done there. Up through Rouge and Radigon, try and hit those apexes. 1, 2, 3. Does pretty well there. And then keep it flat. That's one thing about this track. Sector 1 and Sector 3 is only really one braking zone. So most of your time on the lap is going to be found in the second sector. Although in saying that, a lot of these guys will have low wing setups because of... Oh, Isabella's gone wide there. He's caught a bit of that inside curve there. Just saw the tail end of that. It's not under there for the Merc. I don't think he would have had damage though, so he may be able to go again. Didn't really hit anything there, but far from ideal. But yeah, I was talking about the setups. Because there's so much straight line, there's a lot of places you need to keep the foot on the pedal right to the floor. You're going to want to maximise those straights to attack people and defend from other people. And this, it might compromise your second sector speed. You could bump your wings up 1 or 2 and have a really, really good middle sector, but then be exposed in the race. So it's a fine line there, but most guys will probably go for a lower drag setup. As looks like Patuca is just getting out of the way there as well. Viper is on the lap, so we're still on board with the Ferrari man. Another really quick driver in this tier. Though with rain in the race, it's going to be interesting to see how much wing or how much extra wing these guys will be running in qualifying. Oh, Viper gets very, very squirrely there, and he, I think he might have backed off that lap. Yeah, he's backed off the lap. So a couple of guys really trying to push, you can see there, trying to find the braking point, I guess. That's the way to get pole position, is to absolutely push the hell out of your car. This is like MDT's coming around, the tight right-hander. It's an interesting corner. It's probably one of the most forgotten corners on this track. just at the start of the second sector there. You can gain and lose a lot of time through there depending on your line. MBT looks like it took that fairly well though, which is good. Coming through, pulling now into the fast chicane. Low on fuel, so he's going to have to get this lap right, but he's missed that apex there, so that'll be a couple of tenths gone, possibly. But he's purple to the second sector actually, he's 8 tenths up in his time. That would gain him a couple of positions, so we'll see if he can hang on to the time. Hopefully he can hook the last sector up pretty nicely. As I mentioned before, only really one braking zone, as this whole section is flat. So heavy braking into the bus stop chicane. We're probably going to see a couple of dive bombs into here during the race. There are a few overtaking spots, but I mean this is probably the most inviting with the heavy braking. MBT will stay in P12 even though he did improve by 8 tenths, so got to find a bit more time there to improve his lap. Who's on a lap? We haven't checked yet. Hold on, MJ, it's not MJ. So MJ's on a lap, so we're right on board again. Trying to cover as many people in this qualifying session as possible. It is quite a really good field. In all honesty, lots of really good drivers in here. All but 4 guys have set laps so far. We saw Cardi make a mistake on his first attempt. Lunacy invalidated that medium run, and Dupe and Gold Gloves just haven't set laps yet. By the looks of things, may have invalidated their first runs as well. MJ will come across the line. He's going to go into P7, so about a tenth improvement. He'll jump a position on hold that man Dan. Let's see if any of these guys are on laps. Like Gold Gloves maybe on a lap, as I think that was Dupe just finished his lap in P13 now. Yeah, he's going to want to find a bit more time there. Gold Gloves coming through the second sector now, also low on fuel. Actually, might jump on with his teammate who's coming around the final corner first. Lunacy, he'll go into P7 with a 42.9, so good lap there, but a pretty big gap ahead to Viper. So top 6 look pretty quick around here, kind of in a bit of a top tier there. We'll have to see if anyone can really jump into that little group up there. Lunacy heads up a very close group in Lunacy, MJ and Hold Up and Dan, as the Shipment title puts him right in that group as well. We'll go back to Gold Gloves on the other half because he's coming across the line. He's going to go P11, so just behind as well. So now Cowdy is the only guy left to do a lap, and he's going to really only have one run to do it. Yeah, he's now under pressure, like a one-shot qualifying for Cardi. Currently sitting in the pit lane there. Who have we got on a lap? I wonder if Prime's not, is not. A few guys on out laps, so we'll see if we can catch them as their laps start. So Tri-Kid is on a lap, so we'll stay on board here with the Red Bull man. Heavy braking, try and hit that apex. You want to really open up this last corner to get on the power as soon as possible. Does pretty well there. No loss at the back end, which is good. Come across the line, go P7. So good lap there. Heads up that little second tier of drivers in there. I say second tier loosely just because those top 6 are a fair way ahead. 4 tenths at the moment. So we'll see if anyone can reach into that little gap there and maybe threaten those top 6. Looks like most of them are starting laps. Now, I wonder if Patuka is on a lap. Looks like he is, so we might ride on board here because this could be a potential pole time from Patuka. Currently provisionally on pole. We'll have to see how much he can improve on his time. The field is fairly spread out. Brandon in the comments section. There are little clusters of cars close together, but between those there are some fairly big gaps. You can see between P6 and 7 is about 4 tenths. And then 11 to 12 is 3 tenths, and then kind of 3-4 tenths from there on down. Then Candy Cane hasn't set a clean lap yet, and then Cartier hasn't set any lap yet. So I guess with the track being so long, you will expect a lot more time difference between laps. Oh, as Patuka's lost it, he invalidated on the outside there, and that has caused the car to get unsettled. So that's that lap gone, but he'll probably have time for another attempt if he can save up a bit of ERS. Looks like Ned may be on a lap. He's invalidated though, so we'll have to find someone else. I don't know if anyone else is on a lap. Viper is not. Tri-Kid might be going again actually, so we might ride on board. Oh, he's not. He's 5 seconds, sorry, down. But yeah, with such a long lap, you would expect a bit of variance in the lap. I think it's just about the longest in terms of a lap time. It's definitely the longest in terms of distance. You'll naturally expect a bit bigger gaps as opposed to a track like Austria where it's almost a minute lap, where you'd expect the times to be very close because there's less road. So yeah, love to see what these guys can do during the race. That's one risky thing about having a wet race. The field does converge a bit, does not converge. The field tends to spread out a bit more in wet conditions, as Candy Cane gets a bit loose up the hill. So yeah, particularly around a long lap, you may see a couple of gaps form during the race, but at least we're qualifying to see what these guys can do relative to each other. Candy Cane's a tiny bit down on the first lap, or the first sector, sorry. I think there's a McLaren just in front, jetting around the track, trying to get around. Candy Cane will try to hook up this second sector because this is where a lot of his lap time is probably going to be. Currently a fair way off P15, so he's going to have to put in a half decent lap here to at least threaten the top 10, if not get into it. So it's going to be interesting to see Tom Charleston in the chat racing for the first half of the race. Gorglass has retired. I'm not sure what your PSN is, Tom, we'll have to see. We'll see how long you last in the race. Candy Cane's still on his lap, coming through the second sector now. He's only a little bit up in his time, so he's going to have to find a lot of time here in this final sector. Trikid, there you go. My good old friend, my commentary partner from Pacific Tier 3. So yeah, make it interesting while you're here, mate. Put on a show for us. With the wet, I mean, naturally there's going to be a fair bit of chaos happening. It's like Christoph Reck. Oh, there's lots of people off the track on the mini-map. I think that's a Mercedes as well as a Ferrari off on the track, which is interesting. Candy Cane will stay at P16, so got a fair bit of time to find. As well, we've jumped on board with Cardi, who's in the wall again, so he's not going to get a lap in on the board at all, so he'll be starting P17. There's no question about that. We might jump up here to see if anyone can threaten the pole position time. Looks like Curving is coming through the second sector now. What can he do in that Renault? Through the second sector, he's a 10th down, so he's going to need to find a bit of time in this third sector. Going to need to be brave on the brakes to find the time in the bus stop chicane and get on the power as soon as he can. Because he needs to make up, he needs to make up at least a 10th and a half to gain a position. The front row wouldn't be the worst place to go. Short run to turn 1, you're not really going to come under threat. So I mean, the front row would be fantastic for Curbing. We'll see if he can do it. He does. He's found 2.5 tenths in the third sector. That's a pole position time of 1:41.8, and Prime may be the only one who can take it off him. He's 2 tenths up as well. So if he can find another 10th, then this could be another pole lap here from Prime Vilzu. To Curving Texas, celebrating for P1 for now, but can Prime upset the party? He might just about be the last one other than Dupe on a lap, but we'll have to watch out for that. But Prime coming around the final corner, pretty much the last person to set a lap. What can he do? He jumps up, he finds another little bit of time, about half a tenth in the third sector, but can only go P3. So what can Dupe do? He can go to P13. And I think Cardi, he crashed, didn't he? Yeah, he did. So that is the qualifying session over. Curving Texas will take pole for Renault. The great lap there. Very, very close up the top, which is what we'd love to see. I think it was the top 5 separated by about a tenth and a bit. There you go, top 4. Sorry, within a tenth and a half. So fantastic there. Curving from Batug from Prime. That's going to be a fantastic battle in the race, particularly if there's a bit of rain to spice things up. Ned is P4, hugging a couple of dogs here and there. King Kiski's putting a good lap for P5, Viper P6. MJ jumped in that gap there that I was talking about between the top 6 and the rest. Triken in P8, good lap there from him. Ashun Matata and Lunacy will round out the top 10. Hold Up Man down, Gold Gloves, Dupe, MBT, Christoph Reck made a mistake there at the end. Candy Cane didn't quite get the lap together. Cardi, Banana, Kurt Boy and Stingray all didn't set times. Banana, Kurt Boy and Stingray, Banana and Kurt Boy put it in the wall on their outlap. And I'm not sure what happened with Stingray there. And then Cardi, obviously, we saw crash a couple of times on his hot laps. But they'll be starting at the back, which may not be the worst thing in what could be quite a chaotic race. We'll have to see what happens as, look at that rain. It's a bit heavier than I thought it would be, so that could make things quite interesting. I think it should probably be into weather. We'll have to see what the guys put on. But that's going to spice things up. It's going to make a lot of really chaotic racing. Going to make for some chaotic racing. Just a bit of extra trouble. As you can see on the left hand side there, the cars are bouncing on the grid. So obviously just testing the suspension there, naturally. Lando Norris is head bobbing And that McLaren may have transferred over to Belgium here. But we've got 5 seconds left for these guys to load in. But yes, it's going to be a very chaotic start to the race as these guys find their feet around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Can't see what tyres it is yet. Wets, so it is full wet conditions. Wow, so I thought it was just inters, but it looks like everyone is on the wet tyres. So wow, that's quite big there. So that's going to make things interesting as well. It is full rain. I know inters conditions are a lot better, a lot more user friendly than wet conditions. So this race, or the start of the race here, could be quite chaotic because the dry line won't have formed yet. It will be pure aquaplaning, particularly up the hill here, around a lot of the fast stuff, which most of the track is. As you've got a couple of guys running into each other on the formation lap. Probably not the way to start. P16 and P20 have hit each other. That is very interesting there. Not sure what's happened. They shouldn't be anywhere near each other on the formation lap, but oh well. But yeah, it's right on board. You can see how wet it is. There is no line. There's no dry line at all there. In real life, that racing line would be incredibly slippery, but I think on the game it doesn't quite work like that. But yeah, you're going to have to be so careful on the first couple of laps as you find your feet, particularly the guys who don't run traction or ABS. It's going to be quite an adventurous first couple of laps, to say the least. I've got a bit of support in the track for Vilzu. P3 qualifying, really good place to be starting. Keep yourself out of trouble in the first couple of laps, and you could be on for a good result. So to see if the Williams man can get onto the podium at the end of the race. We've got a couple more guys running into each other. Far from ideal starting on cold, hard, wet tyres on a wet track. So not fantastic there. If you're trying to get yourself off the line, that's not the way to do it. But yeah, look at that rain, that's crazy. It's going to make for an interesting race. One problem with wet rail racing sometimes is the field does split off a bit, but I mean, judging by those quality times, there are a lot of guys with very similar pace, so we'll have to see if they can keep it with each other. But Kevin Texas will lead them away. We'll have to see if he can pull a bit of a gap. We've seen Patuka's pace in recent weeks. He's definitely going to be right up there. And then Prime, of course, in P3. Ned, also Ned Slashabella, he's got plenty of pace too, so we'll have to see what they can do. And Kinkiski, Viper, we know Viper is quick as well. And then we'll see if any of those guys kind of from the 7 to 14 range can jump up into the points and get some solid points for their season. Of course, another reminder, this is effectively round 2 of the new merged global season, as we've got more collisions in the formation lap, causing more drivers to get put to the grid. So yeah, this is effectively round 2. Look at all those cars that are starting on cold tyres there. Not the way you want to start your race, but maybe you shouldn't have hit each other. That would be my suggestion. But yeah, important to get some points here early on in this new mini championship, so to see who can snag that top 10. I think as Jackie Stewart used to say, I think it was Jackie Stewart, to finish first you have to finish. So these guys are going to have to be on their best behaviour. Be nice and careful on this first couple of laps, at least this first stint while it is wet. I'm not sure how long the rain is lasting, I'll say that. I just heard a report that it is going to be rain at the start of the race. So I have to see if it does dry up. But we've got 4 or 5 red lights ready for the race start. Fairly long hold, and we're underway, and our leaderboard's already glitching out. It's got a couple of guys really losing the back end on the traction at the first corner there. Looks like there's a McLaren dive bombing everybody. That was very adventurous. I think that was King Kiski. There's a bit of chaos behind actually, if they're trying to sort each other out, but King Kiski trying to pull his best Grosjean Hamilton impersonation there, and they're going side by side up the hill, and King Kiski has gone off into the barrier, and he's going to come back on the track. And I think that was Ned just missed him. There's more contact with Trikid there. It's incredibly chaotic. It looks like someone maybe round at the back. Trikid gets a 5-second penalty for corner cutting and gaining the place. These guys are 4 wide through here, just about. Keep it clean, guys. Oh, they're all turning on each other. We're going to have a big accident, yes. They're all going round, and there's a massive pile up here in the second sector. Oh, this is absolute chaos here in the wet. But Bernard's going to try and sneak down the inside, but has to back out of it to avoid a collision. Plenty of guys getting warnings and penalties for corner cutting, but this is absolutely chaotic scenes here. This is kind of stuff that commentators enjoy because it's just nuts, but as a driver you'd hate to be a part of. The absolute chaos and calamity to start this race. It's like drivers are still trying to sort themselves out back here. This is absolutely chaotic. Up the front, the field's fairly spread, so we'll stay with these guys here. Looks like Joffa just lost position of Prime Stingray, who's already made up a lot of places from the back row. Trikid picked up another penalty. So Gold Gloves, MJ and Shumatata are all next to each other as well. MJ trying to make up a couple of places. Shumatata's lost out big time. He's going to get absolutely sent by MBT here. He won't appreciate that, I know. Shumatata may try and push him off. Yeah, MBT backs out of it. Hotman Dan's lost out a fair few positions here. Christoph Rex in the wall. He's on the inside there. He's lost a lot of positions, and I wonder if he's got damage. It doesn't look like it from there, so he may have just gotten away with that. But losing the back end through there. Shumatara and MJ still going side by side, as are Banana and Prime. We've got yellow flags again. That looks like Hurt Boy's gone off, as Stingray's going to try and make a move. Oh, Stingray's gone off. No, Candy Cane's gone off. That's a big incident there for the Williams driver. He's got a massive incident. Oh, and there's a Haas driver who's driven into him as well there. And that's going to bring out a safety car, so we get to take a breath of fresh air. Oh, what's been probably one of the most chaotic first laps I've ever seen. As we've got a couple of guys in the pits now, but that was just total nutsness. I'll coin that word there. What a chaotic start to the race. That was just totally wild. That midfield back group was just absolutely slaughtering each other. I mean, they weren't smashing into each other or anything, but just having so many cars in such a short area of track in the wet in these kind of conditions. Heavy cars, full fuel. I mean, chaos was always going to happen, but we've now got a safety car to kind of settle ourselves down a little bit. It's like a couple of guys now pitting. Banana and Stingray. Trikid, P11, he's in a little, not really anywhere, so he's in a little bit of a bubble by himself. Which after that start may not be the worst thing, just catch a breath. But I mean, what a start to this race. That was just totally wild. Candy Cane has DNF. We saw that, losing the car on the exit of Blanchimont there, on the curb. And I think it was Stingray who nearly got collected in that as well, and then the Haas of, I think it was Gold Gloves as well, ran into the Williams there. But plenty of side-by-side action. We saw almost half the field spin at just about the same time. But after all that, MJ is not in the lead. I think Prime is in the lead. So Prime Vilzu is in the race lead. Kevin Texas in P2, Patuka in P3. So Prime's jumped from third to first. Viper's jumped a couple of positions. Avella has lost a few. Avella/Ned. He's got Lunacy. Lunacy's jumped up 5 positions, I think. We might pull that up quickly. Yeah, Lunacy up 5 positions. Stingray up 12. So that's a really good start there for Stingray, considering the conditions as well. In P8, didn't set a quality lap. Banana Cape Pie up 9 as well, just staying away from all the trouble. You can see everyone down the back who's lost a lot of places. King and MJ have lost a lot. I think I'm in the pit there for damage. Ned lost a couple. Shumatara and Hold Up Man Dan both lost 2 each as well. And a couple of guys gaining some big places. Christoph Reck as well. Even with that little moment there we saw, he's also gained 5 positions regardless. So it's been a good start there. As like Patuka's in the pits. So has he got damage? I'm not too sure. I'll look to see what happens here. I don't think it's dry enough for Inters. The rain still looks very, very heavy. But I wonder if he's picked up some damage. I can't see what he's putting on. It is more wet tyres, so it's definitely not ready yet, and he's getting front wing change. So Patuka getting involved in a bit of contact up the front there, and that's going to put him right down the field, which is not what he would have wanted. Got plenty of pace, and now he's going to have to work his way through the entire field to get back up there. So that puts Viper into P3 now, moving into P4 and then into P5. Stingray and Banana both up another position, so 15 to 19 have all pit for fresh wet tyres, so obviously not near close enough to Inters yet. Usually the Inters and the wets are fairly even on pace in that kind of in-between phase. The wets are only really the quickest in extreme wet condition. It looks like they are here to stay, otherwise some guys might have put on the Inters. So it looks like we might have this kind of rain for a fair portion of the race, judging by those pit stops there. But yeah, what an absolutely chaotic start. We saw plenty of guys getting caught up in a whole lot of stuff. Pretty much the entire midfield getting roadblocked a bit, trying to go 4 wide through places where you can't really even go 2 wide. So lap 1 things, Hipatuka's really struggling to get the tyre turned in there. He did get that front wing change, so it must just be understeer on the tyres. But yeah, what a start to the race. Prime will be on, he'll be in the best position for this restart. He'll get to choose when the field goes, so he could plan that quite well. and in the wet conditions no one's really going to be wanting to take too many chances, so this is chance Prime to really stretch out a little bit. We'll have to see how he goes. Yeah, just taking the opportunity to catch my breath a bit. Plenty of stuff going on at the start of the race here. Almost the whole field's caught up, so the safety car will probably be out for one more lap, and then it will come in at the end of lap 4. That will reduce, the running laps down to, what's that, 18 laps. So, being a long track, I think it is the lowest number of laps on the calendar. 18 laps of racing, still a long way to go around Spa. Particularly in these conditions, it's going to be a long one. We'll hope these guys have got some snacks next to them, possibly a drink of water, because it is going to be a lot of hard work. You're going to have to keep your focus for the entire race. Looks like, I think it's Kurt Boy at the back. He's just coming around the final couple of corners now, so he'll be out in the back of the train in a couple of moments. And the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, so we'll be back under racing conditions for lap 5 onwards. See if these guys can be slightly cleaner than they were the first time around. But look at all that spray there. It's going to make it incredibly hard for anyone to really see anything in front of him. Unless you're kind of in the top 2, top 3, you're just going to have a face full of water, which is the last thing you want around this track, where hitting your marks is so important, as Viper's gone very wide there. Just saw a Ferrari shoot off the track there. Obviously just trying to test the grip limits of the circuit. But I didn't ask this before the race, may as well ask now. Get your predictions in for a top 3, anyone who's watching. It's going to be a chaotic race, a lot's going to happen, so this is the chance for someone unusual perhaps to get a podium, but let me know what you think. Top 3, first, second and third. If you get it right, I will shout you a Freddo Frog. That is the deal. It's always been the deal and always will be the deal. So at the back, people are just scuffling a couple of positions. Slightly illegal, they'll sort themselves out. But yes, top 3, let me know. And if you're right, there'll be special things coming your way, aka Freddo Frogs. Take an almighty guess to get it right from here, I think. That's just a silly glitch back here. Because MJ and Kurt Boy swapped positions, they're both going to have the yellow flag glitch. So MJ's picked up 5 seconds, which is far from ideal, but he may be able to get that removed in the race director at the end of the race. Actually, no, he won't, because he's going to have to serve that the pit stops. So that sucks for MJ. That's 5 seconds setback on his race time, which is not ideal. So yes, don't do that. I would advise against overtaking anyone in a safety car, because we do know the game is fairly friendly on the glitch, as Dupe's got a 5-second penalty for collision with MJ, so plenty happening back here. The safety car is in this lap. Those bottom 3 are all swapping positions and everything, so bit of weirdness going on there, but we'll see if they can sort themselves out. Speaking of sort themselves out, we'll see what the rest of the field can do behind the Williams of Prime. He'll get to lead them away. He's actually going fairly quickly, as Kurt Boy's picked up another. So yeah, all 3 of those bottom guys now have 5 seconds, which is very interesting. Not 100% sure what's going on there, but we'll stay with the front group. We'll have to see when Prime chooses to go. Kurt Boy gets another 5 seconds. So those guys, there's a big gap forming at the back there, so I'm not sure what's happening, as Prime has done a very interesting job at this safety car restart, because he didn't let the safety car go. That may cause a bit of a domino effect at the back here. It looks like they've done okay. Prime's got a big gap on curbing at the back here, so Shumatara and Christopher may be swapped places as well. So Christopher with a poor restart. Shumatara, he may have had that move done before the start-finish line, which wouldn't be fantastic if it did. But up the front here, Prime from curbing from Viper Lucy, losing out a little bit of time on the start. I don't know, it's not the worst idea to maintain a bit of a gap. You can lose a lot more than you can gain. So Lunacy playing it smart, playing the long game. So everyone's managed to get up the hill so far. I've just jinxed someone, I think. Who's that? Is that Gold Gloves? Gold Gloves is round, so I have jinxed him. And he's had a collision with Patuka. They're both round, so those two have hit each other at the top of the hill. So more drama there for the Racing Point driver Patuka, and then Gold Gloves as well getting caught up in that. So they haven't quite made it up the hill. It's not ideal there. They're both going to have to pit, I think. Trikid's right in the back of Ned here. And then you've got Stingray and Banana right behind as well. Bit of a gap back to Ashuna Matata, but looks like Ned not entirely confident in these conditions quite yet. Tri-Kid's all over the back of him. Let's see if he can make a move. You can see him almost pushing him through Puong. You can see him having to correct the car all the time, just make sure it is pointing in a straight line still. And Stingray's going to absolutely send it down the inside here. He's going to get that move done, and Tri-Kid has to kind of back out of it. Stingray, I know him, he is not afraid to throw the nose in there. So Stingray really aggressive through there. Already up in the P6 now, right behind his teammates. So we'll see if Mercedes guys, how they sort themselves out. But I'm sure Ned won't let him pass easily. Except for Tigger and Gold Gloves are going side by side with their damaged cars at the back as well. Dupe's pit for intermediate tyres as well, that's worth noting. We'll have to see if he can gain in a fair bit of time. But I don't think it's ready yet. You can see the amount of rain still pouring down, and the track is still incredibly wet. So I don't think it's quite time for inters yet, but taking a chance, you may as well, being right back down the field in P18. Prime sets quickest lap of the race on the restart. Viper's right behind curving as well, so we'll have to see if Viper can make a move up the hill. Prime's had a really good restart, nearly 3 seconds ahead already, so Curving Texas struggling in the conditions. Although I'm saying that, those two have still got a big gap to Lunacy. Some fairly big gaps throughout the field, as Viper had to save that going through there. So Cardi and Kinkiski down here are also going a bit side by side. I think Kinkiski just went down the inside of that corner there, as the Mercedes guy is going to switch over as well. Ned didn't make that too easy, too difficult, sorry, for him. Yeah, so fairly simple move there for Stingray, getting it done up the hill well before the braking zone. He's now up in the P5 from pretty much last, so Stingray on a charge. We'll have to see if he can maintain his pace, as it's looking very, very good at the moment. So Christopher and Shimatata, Shimatata just getting squeezed out slightly there by the Ferrari man. He's actually going to redress it, so obviously Christopher didn't quite think that move was clean, and he's redressed that, which is a very good thing to do sportsmanship wise. But I'm sure he'll be on the back of him again, trying to make that move stuck. Shimatara looks like he's struggling a little bit. Christopher driving fairly well. Have to see if he can get that move done cleanly, as we've got more incidents at the back. Is that MJ? MJ's in the fence, yeah, so he's made a mistake at the top of the hill again. Tuka's come in, he's put on inters as well. Gold Glove's putting on more wets, so MJ's now in last place, courtesy of that incident there. But Tuka being brave as well and going on to the inters, even though I don't think it's ready yet. Although if the turn, Christopher's got massive understeer there. You can say if the track does turn, he'll be the first one to know about it, and he could reel in a lot of time, but he's got so much time to make up with that mistake, or that collision there with Gold Gloves, and you're having to change the front wing. So Patuka's probably going to need a safety car to get back in this race, as like Kinkiski and Hotman Dan also swapping over positions. Where'd Kinkiski go? Actually, that might have been Hotman Dan getting by Cardi. Okay, so another redress there. So Hotman Dan, I'm not sure whether they're told about the game or not to let him past, but he's letting back through, as MJ is still struggling in the second sector there. As the field is really starting to spread out now, looks like the closest battle on track is Kinkiski and MBT, and then Christopherek and Ashuna Matata just to front. No one in the top 8 are within a second of each other, with the exception of Banana Cake Pie, who's right in the 1 second bubble. No zero open work conditions, of course. Like Kinkiski's going to go down the inside here. This is really, really brave, possibly suicidal, and yes, that was pretty much never going to happen cleanly. And MBT's in the wall, and that's going to be damaged as well. So now MBT's going to go a long way. He's going to go a long way to get back to the pit lane, around almost the entire lap. So both racing points, yeah, tasting some fence and some other cars, which is not ideal there. But Kinkiski had a mega run there, but he may have just slightly closed the door on MBT up the hill, which is not fantastic there. But unfortunately, MBT's come off worse, and I guess if he wants to send it in, he definitely can. To see what Stu would say about that. But regardless of that, Kinkiski's now P11. MBT's dropped to P15. He'll probably lose a few more positions as well, having to do the entire lap plus the pit stop to get back on the cars. Christopher loses the car there on the curb of Puam. Kinkiski's not quite close enough to capitalise though, but yeah, you can see how difficult the conditions are. The curb's going to be incredibly slippery, you don't want to touch many of them. I mean, in the dry it's chaotic enough, they're really difficult to take anyway, but in the wet it's just a whole another level of difficulty. Look, Kinkiski's got some good pace here. He might look to make a move. Oh no, he's gone round. Kinkiski has hit the fence. I was about to say Christopher, it looked like he made a mistake there, but Kinkiski has made an even bigger one, and he's gonna almost kill someone else. But I think Ghosting is on, so that's okay. but he's now dropped down to P14, so, and he's going to go even further, trying to floor it. He's retired on, no, he's actually damaged his car there. He's lost his rear tyre. No, that's his right rear tyre. As we do have a virtual safety car now, Christopher's in the pits. He's made the call. Christopher did well to not pull that in the wall, but he saw Kinkisi just behind, didn't manage to do so. As he's left the session, probably quite frustrated. Stingray's called Lunacy as well at the front here, so Stingray got some good pace. There's a couple of guys now pitting. I wonder if they're putting on some inters. So Christopher is putting on inters. MJD put on inters before as well. Holt Van Dan is on inters. It looks like the track conditions may be changing. I don't think the rain is as heavy as it was before. Curb always put on hards. That's incredibly questionable. I don't know why you would do that at this stage of the race. It is definitely still raining. They're going to be absolutely deaf. I'm actually going to ride on board with him up the hill because I'm curious to see what happens. He's obviously running some traction control because he's flooring it, but I don't think he's going to make it up here. Oh, he had to save that a fair bit, didn't he? But hard tyres, that's incredibly adventurous. Going straight from wets to hards, that is not generally advisable. He's going to lose out a lot of time, I think. Speaking of time, just before that VSC came out, Curbing Texas at the quickest lap of the race. It looks like he's found his groove a little bit, perhaps the track drying off a fair bit, maybe towards more into where Curbing Texas is a bit stronger. But Prime still got a 2.5 second gap up the front, so doing just fine for now. But Curbing Texas, he's got some pace. He managed to break away from Viper. Oh, as Lunacy gets incredibly squirrely. He's done incredibly well to save that. That is a save and a half from Lunacy. But he's managed to keep it on the track somehow, but Prying Stingray is right on the tail of him. That is an absolutely miraculous save there from Lunacy. He's done incredibly well there, but I mean, that's going to lose him time. As cool as it looks, you don't want to be doing that too often, as Banana and Shimatata are going to pit for intermediate as well. So it looks like the track is turning now. Someone like Banana or Shimatata, they could gain a fair few positions here if the track is on inters weather and the guys in front are all on wets. You can see Lunacy here struggling. They could possibly be overheating a fair bit, and I think Stingray's going to go by. Lunacy probably won't fight him too hard. It doesn't make it too difficult for him, and that will put Stingray up into P4. So Stingray on track for a podium now, which is quite good there considering his qualifying. Not setting a lap there, so Stingray in a great position. I want to keep an eye on Banana Cake Pie though, as Patuka picks up a time penalty. Haven't seen too many of those yet, so guys are behaving themselves as we've got a big crash. Is that Christopher's in the wall? Yeah, up the hill, so obviously track still very wet. That's not ideal. He's just fit for inters, so he's obviously tried to floor it a bit too early. You still got to treat it with incredible caution, even if you are going from either wets to inters or inters to dry tyres. You can't just start gunning it straight away. It looks like Christopher has found that out the hard way. He may have to pit again for another front wing change. Lunacy's sticking with Stingray though, but you can see him really having to fight the car. Stingray's car is a fair bit more settled. Or as Lunacy takes inside curb, and that's not the way to do it. You want to stay off those curbs as much as possible, and that's probably lost. Yeah, he's lost touch to Stingray. Now won't really be in a shout for an overtake into the bus stop. So Lunacy's struggling on these tyres as Stingray goes very wide there, obviously trying to open up the steering and not oversteer off the curb. Looks like Curbing's in the pits as Christopher picks up a time penalty. Stingray and Lunacy both in the pits as well. As we've got more yellows, that looks like maybe Christopher again. Yeah, he's off the track, so he's obviously struggling with tyre temps in the wet conditions. You can't floor it. You're going to have to settle down a little bit there to get that car straightened up again. So he's just doing a burnout show now, using the fence, and that could be a bit more damage as well. As he's going to retire on track. That is again a no-no. Oh, he's actually knocked his wheel off. So not great there. And that's going to bring out another safety car. Stats interesting there. Prime and Trikid and Cardi have not pit for wets yet, so they're going to get pretty much a free pit stop. Although in saying that, actually Prime, the gap is big enough to Curbing Texas, so everyone around the track's going to have to go really slowly. But this has worked out perfectly for Prime, and Trikid and Cardi are going to gain a fair few positions as well from it. Gold Guy's picked for more wets, interestingly enough, so he's going to have the chance to put Inters on, but looks like Inters are the way to go, judging by where everyone is in terms of their strategy. Everyone coming in the last couple of laps to put Inters on, but this is an absolute gift for Prime and Trikid, as well as Cardi. They're going to be able to pit while everyone else on track has to go around the track slowly, the safety car, so they're going to gain a lot of time, and in these conditions track position is going to be really important. And then when it dries up as well, it's going to go a long way to helping your results at the end of the race. So Prime will be absolutely laughing right now. As for Trikid, he's going to gain a fair few positions, and then Cardi will also jump into that midfield as well, I think. So it will be interesting to see where they filter out, but Curving and Fire Posting, those guys who've just pit, they'll be kicking themselves a bit. Yeah, kind of being a gift given to their rivals. But I mean, it could have been a lot worse. But yes, Prime will pit this lap. If he doesn't, then there's something very wrong. Yep, so he will pit. Trikid should follow him in about 20 seconds back. So Prime will regain the lead of the race, retain the lead of the race after this pit stop, I think, because of that gap. Curving Texas, yeah, he's a fair way back, so he'll probably maintain it. Trikid should come into the pits as well. Yep, and then we should see Cardi as well in the pits. So they're the three guys left on the wet tyres, as put on the brakes pretty heavily there to not run into lunacy there, but to slow down for the Delta. Yes, he will pit as well. So Prime's come out in P1. Where will Trikid come out? He's still in the pit lane. He's 7.5 seconds actually, so I'm not sure what's happened there. That might mitigate a bit of that advantage. He will come out probably just behind Shumatata? No, just in front. Yes, so he'll come out in P9, which is a good result there, and he's going to slightly pressure tyres, which could help down the track. It's good there for Trikid, getting that free pit stop there and getting the chance to serve that 5 seconds. That has lost him a position to Ned, but you'd rather have the 5 second serve now than later when it counts. But yeah, you can see on the minimap guys are all over the track, so it may take a while for this safety car to come in. Looks like Prime has caught it, as has the front half of the field. But you can see the gaps at the back are quite big, so that's going to take some time for them to catch up, and it's unlikely the safety car will come in before they do so. But yeah, track moving from wet to intermediate conditions. I wonder if it will dry out or if it will stay like this for the rest of the race. Yeah, I don't really have any idea what's going to happen for the rest of the race in terms of the weather. But these guys should enjoy the inters a lot more than they enjoyed the wets. You can push a fair bit more, like the difference is incredibly noticeable being on the inters compared to the wets. So they will be able to push a bit more and maybe be a bit more comfortable, but again with that you have to try and take the risk out of it as much as possible, because the last thing you want is to put it in the wall, trying to do something brave. So it's still a fine balancing act, but we should see these guys be able to push a little bit more on these intermediate tyres. Halfway point of the race, so plenty more can happen, so you want to put yourself in the best position to capitalise on anything else that may happen in the race to your rivals. Just have to see who's the most patient, who can look after the tyres, who can find the grip the most. So that's going to go a long way into determining this race result, who can kind of adjust to that all the quickest and really capitalise on these conditions. Fill in the chat. I believe there is information on how to join Race Spec tiers on PS4. There should be information on that on the... I think there should be some on the Race Spec YouTube channel. If not, then maybe we can have a chat later and have a look, but there are usually plenty of seats available in Race Spec. I mean, worst comes to worst, you sit around for next season, which isn't too far away actually, but yeah, I think there is a contact link or a sign up page on the YouTube home channel for you, Phil, or anyone else who doesn't mind themselves racing in a league. Yeah, go check that out. If you can't find that, then I can help you a bit further. But yeah, definitely, if you'd like to join, then sign up. It's a lot of fun league racing. Plenty of ups, plenty of downs, but definitely give it a go if you'd like. So yeah, there will be tiers around to join. Just got to find that sign up form and you should be good to go. Someone will get in touch with you after that, so go hit that up if you would like to be a part of the Race Spec community. Yeah, definitely do it if you are interested. A couple of guys hitting each other, picking up more penalties. Far from ideal for your race result. Speaking of penalties, we haven't seen too many in terms of corner cutting, so I guess these guys are being cautious enough to stay between the white lines. You don't want to be really on the curbs, which is where you're going to pick up those warnings. So drivers being smart, and I guess that means every penalty you pick up will be pretty costly. Although if it does dry up, and if the race is close at the end, we'll see guys pushing the track limits a lot more. So keeping it clean is what's going to get you the results in these kind of races. With questionable conditions around such a hazardous track like Belgium. So yeah, you're going to have to be clean and be patient. And yeah, just play your cards smartly. You don't want to lose it all on a big hero move. Yeah, the last thing you want is to have your car halfway through a fence. So it's going to be interesting to see how this restart goes. The safety car may come in this lap, or it may be one more, depending on what Bert thinks in the cockpit. Bert Maylander, in charge of driving the shiny silver Mercedes. Although in saying that, in these conditions you can barely see it. So looks like it is staying out one more lap. Back guys haven't quite caught up yet. It may come in late, but we'll have to see. Looks like it will be one more lap. So Prime on the last restart, we should remember, didn't do it particularly well. He didn't really let the safety car go and everyone got banged up behind, so let's see if he does a better job of this one. We will have one more lap under the safety car, so we can just chill out for a moment. Will be the end of lap 13, so we'll have 9 racing laps left to go. We might have a quick look at the biggest winners and losers as well, again for the race. Position change as MBT's in the pits again, so not happy with his tyre selection perhaps. So biggest winner is Stingray, up from last to 4th. Obviously superb driving there, we saw him make a lot of good overtakes, playing his cards right. Benarke Pie is also up 12 positions, the next highest. You've got 5 positions up for Lunacy, 6 up for Cardi, 5 is up for Kurt Boy, so they've made the most places. A couple of guys have bumped up 2 or 1. Kevin Texas has dropped 1, Ned's dropped 3 from the start. Those 2 are both in the top 6, top 4 even. Those 2 are very quick in qualifying, but plenty of time left to make up those positions again. Tuka's down 11 after being involved in a couple of incidents. MJ's lost a few, Gold Guys has lost a few, and MBT's lost a few as well. So a fair bit of movement. And then in the middle you've got, in the middle you've got Track and Schumann's Harder, who are where they started. So they've had a pretty solid race there, not losing but not gaining. So I mean, if you can keep it clean there, then the positions will come. So P8 and P9 currently, we'll have to see if they can move themselves a bit further up into the points, but plenty of guys around them who I'm sure we'll have to take those away from them. So good to see a fair bit of movement up and down the field. I guess the safety car is good for the racing, as a lot of the time in wet weather, the field does spread a fair bit. So this is a good reset here. Get these guys a bit closer together and see if we can get a couple more battles. MBT's put on mediums. I've just noticed that. That is very interesting. The track is definitely not dry enough. The rain is still coming down and the tyre spray is still coming up. So usually my guide for whether the track's ready or not is the tyre spray. And you can still see a fair bit of it, so I don't think it's quite ready yet. Although I'm saying that, it doesn't look the worst. Like he's keeping it on the track okay, but he can't really put power down. So I wonder if it will dry up. Safe car coming in. I didn't see the notice. I think it is, judging by the way that the gap is forming there. But again, Prime's not letting the safety car get away. So not doing a very good job of the restart again. He's absolutely flooring it behind the safety car, and this could cause a bit of trouble. yes, you probably rather let the safety car go, because now look, he's being held with the throttle. They're all being held with the throttle now, and that's going to cause chaos down the field. But they will get underway again. Curbing Texas right behind. Looks like Viper has lost a bit of touch. Stingray's right in the back of him there in P4. Trike and Ned are going side by side. Looks like Trike diving down the inside of Ned. Ned's not quite close enough to really make a move again, so he's probably going to slot in and shoot Matata behind. Not close enough to capitalise either, so getting the move done is Trike off the restart, which is really good. Does everyone keep it clean up the hill, except Tuka and Dupe are going side by side. Tuka's going to get boxed in slightly. They're going almost 3 wide here. They are going 3 wide. Tuka make the most of the braking zone. This could end in absolute tears for all of them. They're all squeezing each other a bit, and Caddy has to back out. There's a bit more contact there, but Tuka, he's probably just thankful he's still pointing in the right direction at this point. But getting the move done on Cardi, but losing out to Dupe as well. MBT in the back, in the mediums, he's lost a lot of time, so it's obviously not ready yet for dry tyres. Taking a chance, not quite paying off there. He's really struggling. You can see that gap just falling away for MBT, already out to nearly 10 seconds, so it's not ready for dries yet. As Tuka's going to be really close here to Dupe again, but can't quite get the move done, although Dupe runs deep. I wonder if Tuka just gave him a little kiss there. I'm just bumping out the way a tad bit. Patuka now in P11, so if he can regain some points again, that would be good for Patuka, considering all that's happened to him in the race. But he's currently just outside the points now, but you can see points right in front of him there, so he'll hope to gain a few more positions there. Looks like Stingray has managed to get past Viper as well, and he's now going to go back to curving, so Stingray really quick in these conditions. He's got lots of pace. Viper still thereabouts, he's still nice and close as well. Lucy in P5, Banana P6, those guys are about a second from each other, so not quite under threat yet. Although Banana's had a good run through here, under braking, can't quite get close enough to throw the nose in there. MBT's already 16 seconds down, as looks like Kurtboy and MJ make the move at the back, but we'll stay with Curbing and Stingray because this is a really close battle for a podium position. As Curbing gets a bit squirrely on the exit there, what can Stingray do on the power? He's already into overtake mode, so obviously wants to get on the back of him as soon as possible and stay in that slipstream. We'll see what he can do up the hill. He's still not flat, track's still very wet. You'd rather not throw it away up there now. But Curbing's got a good run, he won't be under pressure this time round. Looks like Ned and Tri-Kid are going to swap positions perhaps. Yeah, Tri-Kid having to go defensive early on the straight. Ned's going to go down the inside and around the outside. I think Tri-Kid just lets him go there. It's not defending it too hard. Patuka also on hold up man Dan, getting that move done into the points now for the racing point. His teammate down the back really struggling. And he's lost it, I think. Yeah, he's gone around in this medium, so track nowhere near ready yet. Brave to give it a go. Sometimes it really pays off massively and sometimes it doesn't. Look like this is one of those times it doesn't. Although when saying that, the track still does look like it's drying a bit, but usually it takes 4 or 5 laps for really it to dry up. Although around such a long lap maybe it will be 2 or 3, but that rain's still coming down, which indicates that it's definitely not ready yet. Shumatada's struggling through the middle here. Patuka's going to try and go down the inside. MJ makes a move in his teammate Cardi. Just behind as well, so good job there from the AlphaTauri. He's made up a few positions off this restart. Look at Gold Gloves gets through as well. Yeah, Cardi's off the track, so not ideal there, but he's lost a few positions now. He's lost out to Kurtboy additionally, so 3 positions in about 10 seconds for Cardi. Not ideal there, but looks like Patuka's on the outside of Shumatada on the grass. That is not the place you want to be. He's going to be around the outside. There's going to be a bit of contact there. Have they kept it out of the wall? No, Shumatada's kind of in the wall there. Has he got damage? Yes, he does. So big contact there. Shumatada's hit the inside wall and he's going to pit. So that's really disappointing there for Shumatada. Patuka kind of pushing around the outside there, just converging in the wrong place, but not ideal there for him. Shumatada's going to have to pit and he's probably going to drop right back to second last. He gets 5 seconds just to rub it in as well, speaking in the pit lane. So not great there for him. He's going to have to get a front wing change and more tyres. Looks like it is more inters, so he doesn't reckon the rain's going anywhere for now. That could be a good indicator for what the rest of the race is going to be like from my point of view. Only 6.5 laps left. Looks like we will have these inter conditions, these in between conditions for a fair while. Yeah, if it was going to dry up in the next lap or two, Shumatada probably would have put on softs. But the fact that he hasn't kind of tells us that it's not close enough yet for dry tyres. Just looking at the gaps, kind of like it was before, the gaps have spread out a fair bit. Guys in the wet are struggling to really keep it close to each other. We do see this a fair bit in wet races. Some drivers are fairly strong and some drivers aren't very confident at all. It's really coming into display here. We've only got 3 gaps really under a second. As Kevin gets a bit squirrely there. Stingray was on a charge at the restart, but he's lost a fair bit of time now to Texas, who's right at the back of Prime. So Texas looks like he's found his form. Stingray, I mean, he's still got 6.5 laps left to go, but not quite in the back here yet. As Viper's made a little mistake here, I think, perhaps, because Lucy's now within the second. So Viper's now dropped 2.3 seconds, so he's lost a second somewhere. So Lucy's going to go deep. Viper's pitting. That's a big call. I wonder if the track's drying up. I want to see what he goes on. This is going to be really interesting to see, because you wouldn't normally pit at the top 4 position. He's putting on soft, so he thinks the track's going to dry up. You can still see the rain coming down though. You can see on the camera shot there is still wet drops of water coming down. But he's gone for softs. That's incredibly brave. This is a race winning / race losing move. If this pays up, he's going to get a massive undercut, and if it doesn't, then he's losing lots and lots of points. But now it's time to push. The track does look a lot drier actually, and judged by how that went, Trikid and Patuka going through. Patuka gets the move done, but Trikid's fighting back. A little bit of a touch there again. Trikid tries to go down the inside there. We'll go back to Viper in a sec. These guys having a nice battle here. Trikid's going to try and hold it down the inside, not quite getting it done. Patuka holds on to that position for now. Those two really close in pace. I want to run on board with Viper though. I want to see what the grip's like. In all honesty, it's not too bad. I think on the braking in the mid-corner, you saw him lose a little bit on the traction there, but you know what, I think he may have gotten this bang on. Where's the gap to leader? So he's 26.1 seconds behind the leader. I'll leave this gap up for a bit, because I want to see if that closes down. It's staying fairly level. He's lost a couple of tenths there, so maybe it's not quite ready yet, but he's gotten it pretty damn close. I reckon this lap or next lap we might see some of these guys pitting. As Bernard's retired from session, he's put it in the wall somewhere. Let's have a look up. He's on the right hand side, so he's made a mistake there, and that's going to bring out another virtual safety car. Is anyone going to pit? Prime misses the pit lane. Curbing Texas, Stingray, Lunacy are in the pits. So that's massive, and Viper, he's going to lose out. So that advantage that he potentially had there is now going to be lost, because everyone in front of him is going to get a free pit stop. So Viper will be absolutely kicking himself, making a bold call and potentially a right call to go into soft tyres there, but he's going to lose a fair few positions, I think. It's a very, very short virtual, which could help him, but Curbing, Stingray, everyone's coming in for dry tyres now, all on soft tyres, so it looks like it is dry enough now. Where does Viper come out? He's lost out. He's lost a fair few positions. Lunacy's now in P5 ahead of him, so he's lost out to Lunacy. Lunacy's a long way ahead of him, so Viper's lost probably about 7-8 seconds there in that virtual safety car. He was losing a little bit of time, but not that much really to those in tyres on that lap. But this virtual safety car is an absolute gift to everyone else, so he'll be kicking himself. You've got MJ still on track, and most notably Prime Vilzu is still on track. Someone's in the fence at the back, that's Kurt Boy. He's put it in the wall at the Orange Radion section. I think he's hit inside curb, that's fairly on for an incident there. Shimatata on board. Where's Kurt? We've got another virtual safety car. Kurt's on the right hand side, yeah, so he's in the wall. MBT still in those mediums. Where's Prime on track? Or if the virtual safety car lasts another 20-30 seconds, then Prime may just get away with this, but if it goes away in the next 10, Prime's going to lose out to Curbing and Stingray, and possibly Lunacy even. So Prime's going to be praying that it stays out for as long as possible, because Prime, he's just missed the pit lane as that first virtual came out when everyone pit, but he's going to come in the pits now. And now it's just a matter of how long it takes the safety car to come back in. Curbing Texas will be absolutely pushing that delta to the limit. Stingray behind as well, be really close. DRS is enabled, so the track is officially dry. And Prime's still in this box, so he's going to lose out to curbing, and he's going to lose out to Stingray, I think, here. He still hasn't changed those tyres yet, he just does now. Williams is at the end of the pit lane, but he's going to lose 2 positions, is he? Yeah, there goes the Mercedes of Stingray. So Prime has lost the lead of the race with 3 and a bit laps left. MJ's going to lose a couple of positions as well, being shafted with that safety car, virtual safety car. But he didn't pit, he had a bit more choice there, so I guess MJ shot himself a bit more on the foot there, but Prime, he's going to be very frustrated that he's been done. As it looks like Stingray and Curving Texas are going to go side by side. Stingray down the inside on Curving Texas. Curving won't let him go easily, I know, but Stingray gets through for the lead of the race with only 2.5 laps left to go, which is an absolutely phenomenal drive for the man who started on the back row. So Stingray now into the lead of the race, and what can Prime do to fight back on these two, who are probably going to start to run away. Prime did have to lead the race for pretty much the entirety, getting the lead on lap 1. Curving Texas in between, and what can he do in terms of chasing down Stingray? But you can see Prime's now 2.5 seconds behind the pair of them, and I think he's going to run out of laps to catch him. As Stingray, he may have made a mistake there, because Curving's right back there, and he's going to try and go around the outside. If he can hold it, it'll be the inside for the next corner, and he might try and run Curving off wide. Yeah, he takes the racing line, Curving has to back out again, but possibly a slight mistake there for Stingray. As you wouldn't normally see guys going side by side there. So Patuka and Ned are going side by side again. Patuka now up at P6 again, so Patuka, he's made a lot more positions up again. As Ned's going to lose it on the curb. Can he keep it out of the wall? No, he can't. That is possibly damage there, but he's going to lose a lot of positions. As Kurt Boy is retired, no, he's left the session. He already retired. But Ned in the wall there, he's just gone away with damage, I think, there. So lucky for him. But he's lost a fair few positions, which won't be very good. Still in the points though, so at least it's something. Prime is closing. Prime closing rapidly, so this race is not over yet. Prime's close almost a second here. Curving Texas and Stingray still close together. There won't be DRS until the last 2 laps, I don't think. But what can Curving do for Stingray? It looks like Prime's not quite close enough here. Oh no, he's already got DRS. So yes, with the virtual safety car, sorry, my mistake, 1 lap instead of 3 laps. Curving Texas is going to go down the inside. Is he going to be close enough to make a dive? No, he doesn't. He stays behind Stingray late in the brakes, as he needed to be. Curving Texas perfectly in the sector, so first sector, sorry. But Texas still in this fight, and you can see Prime lurking behind. So Prime's got a lot more pace. He'll be driving out of frustration now. Obviously feels like he should have the lead now, and probably should, without those virtual safety cars caused by other people. But Prime not done yet. In terms of penalties, I haven't really seen many pop up, so I don't think we can really count that as a factor yet, but we may have to check if things get really, really close. But yeah, Prime now right on that 1.1. If he can get within DRS on the next lap, then I reckon he's a shout, but if he can't, then he may be just a tad too late. He's lost a bit of time in the second sector here, so maybe still running slightly lower wings. But what can he do? It is the closest battle on track for the top 3, so we'll have to stay with them. Prime's just outside the second. He's using all of that ERS he can. Curving's got a lot less, but he's using it too. And Stingray's got almost nothing. So Stingray doesn't have much to defend with, actually. Curving Texas and Prime have a lot. Oh, as Prime picks up 3 seconds, that's going to be absolutely costly. I don't think the top 2 have penalties. I haven't seen them pop up. But that could be race over for Prime in terms of the win. Lunacy's 5 seconds back. Prime will get the quickest lap of the race for now, but he needs to get DRS now for any sort of chance of winning this race. He needs to hope that Stingray and Curving Texas get a warning or penalty as well. I think Prime's just going to have DRS here. Have to see when he goes over the hill. Upper Rouge and Radion. He will have DRS, Prime, but that 3 seconds is going to hurt him. That's going to really, really hurt him at the end of the race. Curving Texas, he's not close enough to Stingray, so Stingray getting a good enough run out of turn 1 to help him up the hill and down the Kendall Straight. And Prime's with 9/10 gap as well of Curving Texas. 7/10 make that good run through that chicane there. So these 3 really converging, but that 3 seconds is going to hurt Prime. I don't know if Curving or Stingray have 3 seconds. I haven't seen them pick them up yet, but they're going to need to keep clean from this point onwards. Otherwise, Prime's still in this race. You can see the grip is there. It is dry conditions. No need to worry about slipping in terms of rain or your tyres or anything. This is bone dry conditions now. So they're going to be absolutely standing it for the last 2 laps. or 1.5 laps. Prime, that would be another warning there. Fresh tyres, these are quality laps, so who can set the best laps? Prime 1.3 seconds up on his best time, so this track is easily improving by a lot. Viper picks up 3 seconds, which may cost him in the battle with Patuka. I think that's a slow half in the background there, maybe AlphaTauri, but we can't leave this battle here for to lead because you only got 1 lap plus 2 corners to go. Prime late in the brakes, curving a little bit slimy there on the power there. That could be Stingray's chance to go. Prime sets another quickest lap of the race. Stingray does that before him. So Curving Texas not quick at the moment. Can he fight with Stingray? He's not close enough. He's going to have DRS still, but I think that gap is too big. It's almost a second now. So Stingray's done very, very well to be quick in the places where it matters. Out of the traction zones into the heavy braking zones. I think Curving Texas, he's got to worry about Prime probably more, as Curving's got no battery. Prime's got lots and lots of battery. What can he do with it? Can he dive down the inside? He's not going to be close enough. No, he's going to have to settle behind. So he's only going to have a couple more opportunities now to get through. Does Prime. MBT picks up 3 seconds from the back as well, so we don't worry about that too much. Ned and Holloman Dan are also having a scuffle down here. Ned right at the back of Holloman Dan. We might stick with these guys down the straight, and if nothing happens, we will go back to the front group. No, we can't quite get the move done, but late at the brakes, very, very, very late at the brakes there for Ned. He's got a lot of pace at this phase of the race. Lost a couple of positions back in the state before, so we know he's got good pace. Up the front, Prime not able to really threaten Curving yet, and Curving not able to threaten Stingray yet, but Curving getting a decent run through there. Sun's coming out now, a little bit too late for these guys. They spent most of the race struggling in the rain, but I think Stingray's managed to hold on. Stingray, he's got almost nowhere else to play with. Same with Curving Texas. Prime's got a little bit, not enough, but that gap is too big. So Stingray, I think, is going to do the miraculous and go from last to first, or second last to first. I don't remember if it was 19th or 20th he started from. But he's safe now, barring any penalty in this last chicane here. Curving's going to send it in, but not getting close enough. But it is Prime Stingray who is going to win the Belgium Grand Prix from last place. Curving takes... Oh, Stingray had a penalty. Curving will take the win, and Prime takes P3. Oh, that's massive there. I didn't realise Stingray had a penalty. Lunacy will come across the line in P4. What can Viper do? Stays P5. What about Patuka? P6. Tri-Kid will come across the line in P7. Managed to do the whole race, which is good. He'll stay there. Hotman Dan in P8. He'll jump to P7. Ned will jump to P7. Tri-Kid losing on penalties there. Gold Gloves will come across the line and take the final point. MJ, can he take it off him? No, he can't. 5-second unserved penalty. Look at that gap between Tri-Kid and Hotman Dan, 0.003. But we can't really worry about that so much. Stingray doing a last to first on track, but dropping to second at the line due to a penalty. Curving Texas keeping it clean, and the results coming his way. We mentioned that multiple times this race. Who can keep it clean, who can keep it between the white lines, who can stay in control of their car in the changeable conditions. Curving Texas has done that best, and he's going to be rewarded with a race win. Prime Stingray, an incredible effort to go from the back to the front. Had to overtake pretty much every car to do it. Didn't really get gifted many positions at all. And Prime getting shafted by the safety car, the virtual safety car, in the middle end of the race. He's done well to hang on to P3, but he'll be kicking himself. He would have thought that race was his to win. And in some ways it probably could have been, but we can't take away from the fact of Curving Texas keeping it clean and Prime Stingray being ultra aggressive and clean for the most part, bar that 3 seconds in those overtakes there, doing a fantastic job. Lunacy and Viper routing out the top 5. Patuka also had a good comeback drive in P6 there after multiple calamities in his race. Stingray will of course take driver of the day, coming from the back row to the front 2 positions. Well done for the Mercedes man. But Curving Texas will take home the biggest piece of metal today. Does this dorky dance on the podium. I don't know whether to call it an improvement or not for this F1 game with the podium dances. They are incredibly dorky. But he'll be able to spray the champagne, and he will go home a happy man tonight. Stingray also another happy man, taking P2 and Prime. I think he'll be happy with the podium, but he'll think that he could have had even more in that race there. But yeah, they'll take the top 3 points. Curving Texas also getting the quickest lap, and look at that in the background, it's wet again. Lunacy being clean as well in P4 from P10. Good result there. Viper in P5 after a few things not quite going his way. Patuka after being involved in a couple of incidents, back up to P6. That's a great recovery for him there. Ned, P7, he had a pretty up and down race. A couple of mistakes here and there. Holtman down in P8 from P11, so a couple of positions gained. Trikid stays around about where he started, P9. And Gold Gloves will pick up the final point for Haas, so double points for Haas there. Them and Mercedes are the only team actually to pick up double points. So good there. MJ just misses out on the points. Dupe, P12, Cardi, Ishimatara, MBT, the 11 to 15 guys, they all finished the race. Then we've got Kurtboy, Banana, Christopher, King Kiski and Candy Cane all DNFing from the race. So 5 retirements there. But what was that was such a crazy race. We had full wet conditions, we had intermediate conditions, we had dry conditions, we had the full lot. We had some incredible wheel-to-wheel racing, we had some pretty nuts action, a couple of chaos moments, a few calamities up and down the field, but a really entertaining race nonetheless, as we have come to expect from the global guys. Do a fantastic job as always. Really enjoyed doing commentary on that one. Appreciate the nice messages in the chat as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thanks for the support in the chat as well. I know the drivers appreciate the guys in the chat, the guys spectating the streams. These guys put on a show every week, and it's good to have the support in the chat. If you want to see more of these guys, make sure you tune in same time, same place next week. I'll be joining these guys for, I think it's the Italian Grand Prix, so that'll be another fast-paced race there. Yes, it is Italy, so that will be an interesting race to watch. Usually provides some good action there. If you want to see these guys previous races, they are all on the Race Spec YouTube channel. There are currently 2 tiers now for global series, so make sure you check out both of those if you'd like. And plenty of other stuff happening in the Race Spec community. You've got Elite Series also on a Sunday, and you've got plenty of regional leagues on other days of the week as well, so make sure you check out all of those if you're interested in seeing more Race Spec action. But we'll wind it up there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Congratulations once again to the podium getters for keeping their cool in what was quite a crazy race there. Yeah, over and out from Boldhod here. I'll catch you all next week. Have a good one. See you later.